Well, guys, here we are, season end. Hopefully, the birds eating doesn't drown out the sound of my voice. I'm trying to keep the microphone as close as possible to me. But I figure I got a few minutes here. I might as well shoot a video for you. I know it's been a while. Watching Mark from Red Star post new content has gotten me excited as well. So I figure I'd make a quick one for you guys. What you guys see here are 23 birds. And this is what we have left over after handing off quite a few to a couple of new members to become their breeders for the following season, for next year. We did start, so let's backtrack. We started this year with 77 pigeons, and I didn't want to go over the 70 mark, but I bred a few youngsters for a club member, and last minute he decided he wasn't going to use them, and I didn't want to necessarily throw them away, so I threw them in the group to race. They of course didn't really do much. I find that some of my best birds are from my first and second round. I don't have good luck with third rounders. They perform and they show up, but that's about it. They're not really front runners, and I don't expect them to be because of the age gap between the first round youngster and a third round youngster for me. But nonetheless, guys, we started the season off with 77. Moving forward to the first race, I took 68 birds to the first race, and I took everything we had in the loft, 68 pigeons. And from the first race to the last race, we were left with 47 pigeons. And the races, guys, honestly, the races were as expected. I struggled on almost every race to get a bird up front because of the drag. We had 7 races that I competed in, and out of those 7 races, 5 of those races were under 200 miles. We had 4 130s. This is my airway. 1 180, 2 300s, which were the same race but divided into a money race and an open race, and finally our classic, which was 380, I think 83 or 84 miles for me. So needless to say, a lot of short races. Short races were a drag. The birds got pulled into Detroit, into the low-end guys, and week after week, I struggled to get a bird ahead. And even then, guys, if any of you guys have been following along on the performance sheets, the birds were only minutes behind. Out of I think every single race, I scored in either the top 10 or the top 20. I placed birds in the percentages on every single race, regardless of the distance, but I just could not bridge that gap. At best, we did 2 minutes behind the lead bird on a 130. We did, on a good note, we did win the Open 300, and I did take second loft, third place, and 11th place in the Combine 375, the big classic race. I put 2 birds in the money and pretty close to the top, so I got a pretty nice payout. I definitely paid for the birds for the year, feed, and everything else that comes along with keeping racers, keeping homing pigeons in general. So it was nice to see. And it, honestly, not that I mean to sound arrogant, but I did expect to do much better at the longer distances, because again, at the long distance, nobody really has the drag, nobody has the pull their direction. The better birds will make it up front, and I just so happen to have 2 birds that were in the front lead and placed very well. And same with the Open 300. There were 10 or 12 guys racing. This was a combine race, and I placed first and second, and then I think I took a 5th or 6th place, and then a couple more spots in the top 10, top 20. But the first the 2 winners that came together, were pretty darn good. I think we put an 8-minute lead gap on the very second bird, or in this case, the very next bird, which would be 3rd place. We put an 8-minute gap on that. So it was nice to see. That was a really welcomed result, because I really needed it, guys. I mean, I was struggling. Again, to place well in the top 10, you're doing well. It doesn't matter if you win the race or not. If you're putting birds in the top positions, you're doing fairly well. But it still sucks to put that much effort and that much time into your birds and to not be able to get them to break. And it's not their fault. It's not that the birds are bad or my training is poor or anything in that nature. It's simply because 90% of the birds were going one direction, and about 80% of the birds were going one direction, and about 20% of the the birds release were going my direction. Between me and one other fancier in my area is all we had. Everybody else was southeast of us. So to get birds pulled up, it was a struggle, and you can see it race after race. Him and I, we struggled to get birds ahead, and still I did fairly well. I can honestly be proud of the results, but I would be lying to say I wasn't frustrated week after week. So that 300, that win on the 300 was definitely welcomed, and it definitely made me feel good about knowing the results weren't necessarily my fault. I know it sounds weird, but I put a lot of pressure on myself to get these birds to perform, and when I don't see the performance, I start to question the things I do. Did I feed well enough? Did I train well enough? Did I rest them well enough? You know, it's those questions that go unanswered, but knowing and seeing that you can, in fact, get birds to perform when the drag isn't against you, it just shows that my methods are good. It's a simple matter of too many short races, guys. I mean, out of 7 races, 5 were short, under 200. And if you guys race, you guys know exactly what I mean. A short race is, honestly, it's a glorified training toss. I hate to say it that way because, yeah, you are still competing against other club members, but most guys will train 100+ miles. So calling a 100-mile a race is kind of silly, but it is what it is, guys. That's, I clearly want to win them all. I am competitive in that nature, so it sucks to not be able to get, close enough to the win. But it is what we have, guys. Now, with that being said, the remaining of these birds, these 23, in 2 weeks will be headed down to about 490 miles, and I'm going to release them from there. Me and 2 other individuals, 2 other club members, are going to do a small mini sort of end of the year, make it or break it mini race between us 3 to see which birds make it from that distance. Now, they're on the ground because I'm in here and they want to be on their perch, but they're in pretty good shape, pretty good health. The lights are still on, so the molt has not gotten to them yet. They're in full wing. It's 490 miles or something like that to me, so that is going to be a challenge. I don't expect to see very many daybirds, but I don't expect to lose very many either. They are prepared and they are more than ready. It's just I want to see what makes it at that distance. A lot of these birds, because they weren't nominated for the big money race, didn't see anything past 300, and I just have this open window of opportunity to send them, and it is 490 miles. A nice 400 would have been even better, but the opportunity is there, and I'm going to take it. If there's a chance I lose them, well, it is what it is. We're going to move forward with the ones that do make it, and that's just we'll see how she goes, guys. It was a tough year, and I'm going to really have to reconsider future racing for my birds. I cannot continue racing short distance race. Honestly, guys, I don't keep anything that doesn't score under 250. So a 200-mile winner is a good bird, but for me it's not enough. They have to compete. They have to do better than a 250, and that's where I want to keep the performers. But that's just me. I don't build a loft based on speed birds. All the big races that you're going to see, all the big money races that you want to compete in are all going to be 350 plus. So why build speed? Again, that's just me, guys. I'm not saying that that's what you should do, or that a speed bird is no good, but in my personal opinion, a long distance bird can be competitive at a short distance race, but you'll never see a short distance speed bird be competitive at a long distance. It's just not possible. They burn themselves out, and even if they do manage to make it in good time, they're toast. They're just not going to recover in time for the following races, and you've lost the season with them. So it is what it is, guys. We will let you go. I will try to make a video on the 400, or in this case 500-mile race, mini race that we're going to be having, and if we end up having good results, I'll let you guys know as well. See you on the next one, guys.